Max had once been a beloved pet. As a puppy, he was showered with affection. His owner took him on long walks, played fetch in the park, and let him sleep at the foot of the bed. Max was more than a dog, he was family. But everything changed when his owner got a new girlfriend. She didn't like dogs. She complained about the fur on the couch, the smell, the barking. She told Max's owner that the dog took up too much time and attention. "It's me or the dog," she finally said, and Max lost. One day, his owner drove him far out into the countryside. Max wagged his tail, excited for what he thought was a fun trip. But when the car stopped, the door opened, and his leash was taken off. Something felt wrong. His owner didn't call him back. Instead, the car door slammed shut, and as Max ran after the car, barking and crying, the tires kicked up dust and disappeared into the distance. He had been abandoned. A fight to survive. At first, Max didn't understand. He waited by the road for hours, then days, believing his owner would return. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and thirst burned his throat. But no one came. He wandered the countryside, searching for food. He chased after passing cars, hoping one of them would stop. But each time they sped past, leaving him in the dust. He found a small stream and drank eagerly. He caught a rabbit once, but he had never hunted before, and hunger made him weak. His ribs started to show. His paws became sore and cracked from walking miles every day. One night, a storm rolled in. The rain poured, the wind howled, and the thunder roared across the sky. Max curled up beneath a fallen tree, shaking from the cold. But he didn't give up. Something inside him told him to keep going. And then, he found the farmhouse. A second chance. The old man who lived there wasn't used to visitors. He had lived alone for years, ever since his wife passed away. He rarely spoke to anyone, and he certainly had no interest in a dog. But when he opened his door one morning and found Max lying on his porch, shivering, soaked to the bone, and too weak to stand, something inside him softened. He sighed. "I suppose you're hungry." Max lifted his head, eyes pleading. The old man fed him scraps of meat and wrapped him in an old blanket. He told himself it was only for one night, but one night turned into two, then a week, and slowly, the old man realized something. For the first time in years, he wasn't lonely. Max followed him everywhere, into the fields, into town, even onto the old fishing boat he rarely used anymore. He wagged his tail every time the man spoke, listened intently to his stories, and rested his head on the man's knee in the evenings. For the first time in a long time, the old man had a friend. And for the first time since being abandoned, Max had a home. But fate wasn't done testing him yet. The day everything changed. One afternoon, the old man took Max to town for supplies. As they walked down the street, Max suddenly froze. His ears perked up. His tail stiffened. Then, he growled. The old man followed his gaze and saw a familiar figure, one that Max could never forget. His old owner, the man who had left him to die. The old man looked between them, confused. "You know him, boy?" Max didn't bark. He didn't lunge. He simply stared, his eyes full of something deeper than anger. His former owner noticed him. His face went pale. And then, he looked away. He turned his back and walked in the other direction. The old man understood then. He crouched down, scratching Max behind the ears. "Well, I guess we know who didn't deserve you, huh?" Max nuzzled his hand. For the first time, the past didn't matter. He had something better now. He had a real home.